The house was eerily quiet that night, the kind of silence that made my skin crawl. I sat on the edge of my bed, staring at my phone screen, the message burning into my retinas. Tonight, do you want to try a game? The sender was unknown, but the timing was too perfect. Mom was away for the weekend, and I was alone in the house with him, my stepfather, Ethan. Ethan had always been an enigma. Tall, with sharp features and a gaze that seemed to pierce through me, he had this unsettling way of making me feel both seen and invisible at the same time. He'd been in our lives for 2 years now, ever since Mom married him. She was smitten, of course. He was charming, attentive, and had this air of mystery that women seemed to adore. But to me, he was just off. I tossed my phone onto the bed, trying to shake off the unease. It was probably just a prank, some random number messing with me. But then, why did it feel so personal? I glanced at the clock, 11:47 p.m. The house was dark, save for the faint glow of the moon filtering through my curtains. I could hear the faint hum of the refrigerator downstairs, the creak of the floorboards as the house settled. And then I heard it, a soft knock on my door. My heart leapt into my throat. "Who is it?" I called out, my voice trembling. "It's me," came Ethan's voice, low and smooth. "Can I come in?" I hesitated. "It's late, Ethan. What do you want?" "Just to talk," he said. "Open the door, Emily." There was something in his tone, a hint of something I couldn't quite place. Curiosity? Amusement? I didn't know, but it made my stomach twist. I stood up, my legs shaky, and walked to the door. I opened it just a crack, peering out at him. He was standing there, dressed in a simple white shirt and dark jeans, his hands in his pockets. He looked relaxed. Too relaxed. "What do you want to talk about?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. He smiled, that same enigmatic smile that always made me feel like I was missing something. "About the message," he said. My breath hitched. "You sent that?" He didn't answer, just tilted his head slightly, his eyes never leaving mine. "Come downstairs," he said finally. "I have something to show you." I wanted to say no. I wanted to slam the door in his face and lock it. But something in me, some twisted curiosity, made me nod. "Fine," I said. "Give me a minute." He stepped back, giving me space. And I closed the door. My hands were shaking as I grabbed a hoodie and pulled it on, trying to steady my breathing. What was I doing? This was insane. But I couldn't stop myself. I opened the door again, and he was still there, waiting. He gestured for me to follow him, and I did, my bare feet padding softly against the wooden stairs. The house felt colder than usual, the air thick with tension. When we reached the living room, I froze. The room was bathed in the soft glow of candlelight, the table set with an elaborate spread of food and wine. In the center of the table was an envelope, my name scrawled across it in elegant handwriting. "What is this?" I asked, my voice trembling. Ethan didn't answer. He just walked over to the table, picked up the envelope, and handed it to me. "Open it," he said. I took it, my fingers fumbling with the seal. Inside was a single sheet of paper, the words written in the same elegant script. "This is the truth about your mother." My heart stopped. "What does that mean?" I asked, looking up at him. He didn't answer. Instead, he stepped closer, his presence overwhelming. "Sit down," he said softly. "Let's talk." I didn't want to. Every fiber of my being was screaming at me to run, to get out of there. But I couldn't. I was rooted to the spot, my eyes locked with his. He reached out, his fingers brushing against my arm, sending a shiver down my spine. "You're not as innocent as you look, are you, Emily?" he murmured. I swallowed hard, my throat dry. "What are you talking about?" He smiled again, that same infuriating smile. "You'll see," he said. "But first, let's enjoy the night." He pulled out a chair for me, and I sat down, my mind racing. What was happening? What was this game he was playing? He poured a glass of wine and handed it to me. "Drink," he said. I hesitated, but then I took a sip, the bitter taste grounding me somehow. He sat down across from me, his eyes never leaving mine. Tell me, Emily, he said, his voice low and smooth. Do you ever wonder why your mother married me? I frowned. Because she loves you? He chuckled, a dark, almost sinister sound. Love, he said, rolling the word around in his mouth like it was a joke. Is that what you think this is? I didn't answer. I couldn't. He leaned forward, his elbows on the table, his gaze intense. Your mother isn't who you think she is, he said. And neither am I. My heart was pounding now, my mind racing. What are you saying? He smiled, that same enigmatic smile. You'll find out, he said. But first, let's enjoy the night. He raised his glass, and I clinked mine against it, the sound echoing in the silence. This was just the beginning. The wine tasted bitter on my tongue, but I forced myself to swallow it, my eyes never leaving Ethan's. He was watching me with that same unnerving intensity. His lips curled into a faint smirk. The candlelight flickered, casting shadows across his face, making him look almost dangerous. So, I said, my voice shaky, what's this truth about my mom? Ethan leaned back in his chair, his fingers drumming lightly against the edge of the table. Patience, Emily, he said, his voice smooth and calm. All in good time. I hated how he said my name, like it was a secret only he knew. I hated how he looked at me, like he could see right through me. But most of all, I hated how I couldn't look away. He poured himself another glass of wine, the liquid swirling in the glass like blood. Tell me, he said, his eyes locking with mine. Do you ever feel like you don't really know her? Like there's something missing? I frowned. What are you talking about? He smiled, that same infuriating smile. Your mother, he said, isn't the saint you think she is. I felt a surge of anger. Don't talk about her like that, I snapped. He raised an eyebrow, amused. Defensive, aren't we? I clenched my fists under the table, trying to steady my breathing. Just tell me what this is about, I said, my voice trembling. He leaned forward again, his elbows on the table, his gaze piercing. Your mother, he said slowly, has secrets. Secrets she's kept from you. Secrets she's kept from everyone. My heart was pounding now, my mind racing. What kind of secrets? He didn't answer. Instead, he reached into his pocket and pulled out a small, folded piece of paper. He slid it across the table to me. I hesitated, then picked it up, my fingers trembling as I unfolded it. It was a photograph, old and slightly faded. In it, my mother was standing next to a man I didn't recognize. They were laughing, their arms around each other, their faces glowing with happiness. Who is this? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Ethan didn't answer. He just watched me, his expression unreadable. I stared at the photo, my mind racing. The man in the picture wasn't my father. He was younger, with dark hair and a sharp jawline. He looked familiar, but I couldn't place him. Who is he? I asked again, my voice shaking. Ethan finally spoke, his voice low and smooth. His name is Daniel, he said. He was your mother's first love. I felt a lump in my throat. What happened to him? Ethan's smile faded, replaced by something darker. He disappeared, he said. Years ago. No one knows what happened to him. I stared at the photo, my mind reeling. My mother had never mentioned him. She'd never mentioned any of this. Why are you showing me this? I asked, my voice trembling. Ethan leaned back in his chair, his eyes never leaving mine. Because, he said, your mother's past isn't as clean as you think it is. And neither is mine. I felt a chill run down my spine. What do you mean? He didn't answer. Instead, he stood up and walked around the table, stopping behind me. I could feel his presence, his breath on the back of my neck, sending shivers down my spine. Your mother, he said, his voice low and smooth, isn't the only one with secrets. I turned to look at him, my heart pounding. What are you saying? He smiled, that same enigmatic smile. I'm saying, he said, that this is just the beginning. He reached out, his fingers brushing against my cheek, sending a jolt of electricity through me. I wanted to pull away, but I couldn't. I was frozen. My eyes locked with his. "You're not as innocent as you look, are you, Emily?" he murmured. I swallowed hard, my throat dry. "What do you want from me?" He leaned in closer, his lips brushing against my ear. "Everything," he whispered. I felt a surge of panic, but also something else, something I couldn't quite name. It was like a fire had been lit inside me, burning away all my doubts and fears. He pulled back, his eyes locking with mine. "Are you ready to play the game?" I didn't answer. I couldn't. He smiled, that same infuriating smile. "Good," he said, "because it's about to get interesting." He turned and walked away, leaving me sitting there, my mind racing. What had I just gotten myself into? But deep down, I knew this was just the beginning. And there was no turning back. The silence in the room was deafening, broken only by the faint crackle of the candles. My hands were still trembling as I clutched the photograph, my mind racing with questions I couldn't voice. Ethan stood a few feet away, his back to me. His posture relaxed, but his presence anything but. "Why are you doing this?" I finally asked, my voice barely above a whisper. He turned to face me, his expression unreadable. "Because you deserve to know the truth," he said, his voice calm but laced with something darker. "The truth about what?" I demanded, my voice rising. "About my mom? About you? What's the point of all this?" He took a step closer, his eyes never leaving mine. "The point," he said slowly, "is that nothing is as it seems. Not your mother. Not me. Not even you." I felt a chill run down my spine. "What do you mean, not even me?" He smiled, that same infuriating smile. "You'll see," he said. "But first, let's continue the game." I wanted to scream, to demand answers, but I knew it wouldn't do any good. Ethan wasn't going to give me anything unless he wanted to. He walked over to the table and picked up the envelope again, pulling out another piece of paper. He handed it to me, his fingers brushing against mine, sending a jolt of electricity through me. I unfolded the paper, my heart pounding. It was a letter, written in my mother's handwriting. "Dear Emily," it began. My breath caught in my throat. I scanned the words quickly, my eyes widening as I read. "I know this will come as a shock to you." The letter continued, "But there are things about me, about our family, that you don't know. Things I've kept hidden for years. I'm sorry I never told you, but I thought it was for the best. Now, I realize I was wrong. You deserve to know the truth, no matter how painful it may be." I looked up at Ethan, my hands shaking. "What is this?" He didn't answer. He just watched me, his expression unreadable. I continued reading, my heart pounding with every word. "The man in the photograph," the letter said, "is Daniel. He was my first love, but he was also dangerous. He was involved in things I didn't understand, things I didn't want to be a part of. When I met your father, I thought I could leave all that behind. But I was wrong. Daniel never let me go. And now, he's back." I felt a lump in my throat. "What does that mean?" Ethan finally spoke, his voice low and smooth. "It means," he said, "that your mother's past is catching up to her. And it's catching up to you." I stared at him, my mind reeling. "What are you talking about?" He took a step closer, his eyes locking with mine. "Your mother," he said, "isn't the only one with secrets. And Daniel isn't the only one who's dangerous." I felt a surge of panic. "What are you saying?" He smiled, that same enigmatic smile. "I'm saying," he said, "that you're not as safe as you think you are." I wanted to run, to get out of there, but I couldn't. I was rooted to the spot, my eyes locked with his. He reached out, his fingers brushing against my arm, sending a shiver down my spine. "You're part of this now, Emily," he said softly, "whether you like it or not." I swallowed hard, my throat dry. "Part of what?" He didn't answer. Instead, he leaned in closer, his lips brushing against my ear. "The game," he whispered. I felt a surge of fear, but also something else, something I couldn't quite name. It was like a fire had been lit inside me, burning away all my doubts and fears. He pulled back, his eyes locking with mine. Are you ready to play? I didn't answer. I couldn't. He smiled. That same infuriating smile. Good, he said. Because it's about to get interesting. He turned and walked away, leaving me standing there, my mind racing. What had I just gotten myself into? But deep down, I knew this was just the beginning, and there was no turning back. I looked down at the letter again, my hands trembling. My mother's words echoed in my mind, each one more unsettling than the last. I'm sorry, Emily, the letter ended. But the truth is, I've been lying to you all along. And now, it's time for you to face it. I felt a lump in my throat. What had my mother been hiding? And what did it have to do with me? I didn't know. But I was about to find out. Ethan was right. This was just the beginning. And I had no idea what was coming next. I sat down on the chair, still clutching my mother's letter. The words seemed to dance before my eyes, each one carrying a terrifying truth I couldn't accept. Ethan stood in the corner of the room, his cold gaze observing me like prey. Do you want to know more? He asked, his tone soft but laced with mockery. I looked up. My eyes filled with suspicion. Know more about what? About my mom? About you? Or about this twisted game? Ethan chuckled softly, stepping closer to me. Everything, he said. But first, you need to understand that everything is connected. Your mother, me, and even you. I felt a chill run down my spine. I don't understand what you're saying. He sat down across from me, his eyes never leaving mine. Have you ever wondered why your mother married me? I frowned. Because she loved you? Ethan laughed, a bitter laugh. Love, he repeated, as if the word were a joke. Do you really believe that? I didn't answer. I didn't know what to say. He leaned forward, his elbows on the table, his gaze sharp and cold. Your mother isn't who you think she is, he said. And neither am I. I felt my heart pounding harder. What are you saying? Ethan didn't answer. Instead, he stood up and walked over to a small cabinet in the corner of the room. He opened a drawer and pulled out a small wooden box, intricately carved on the outside. Here, he said, placing the box in front of me. Open it. I looked at the box, a sense of unease rising in my chest. What's inside? Ethan smiled. The truth, he said. I took a deep breath and opened the box. Inside was a golden ring, engraved with a strange symbol I had never seen before. What is this? I asked, my voice trembling. Ethan looked at me, his gaze intense. It's the symbol of an organization, he said. An organization your mother once belonged to. I felt my head spinning. What organization? He didn't answer immediately. Instead, he took the ring out and placed it in the palm of my hand. This organization, he said, has existed for centuries. They operate in the shadows, controlling everything from politics to the economy. And your mother, he paused, his gaze piercing, was one of their most important members. I felt as if the ground beneath me was crumbling. My mom? How is that possible? Ethan chuckled softly. You don't believe me? I looked down at the ring, a sense of dread filling me. Why would my mom hide this from me? He sat down, his eyes never leaving mine. Because she wanted to protect you, he said. But now things have changed. That organization is looking for you, Emily. And they won't stop until they have you. I felt a cold shiver run through me. Why do they want me? Ethan smiled, a mysterious smile. Because you're the key, he said. The key to unlocking a secret they've kept hidden for centuries. I felt my head spinning. I don't understand. He stood up, stepping closer to me. You will, he said. But first, you need to trust me. I looked up, my eyes filled with doubt. Why should I trust you? Ethan leaned down, his face just inches from mine. Because I'm the only one who can protect you, he said, his voice haunting. I felt a chill run down my spine. What do you want from me? He smiled, a mysterious smile. Everything, he said. I felt a surge of fear, but also something else, something I couldn't name. It was like a fire had been lit inside me, burning away all my doubts and fears. Ethan straightened, his eyes never leaving mine. "Are you ready?" I didn't answer. I didn't know what to say. He smiled, a mocking smile.
"Good," he said.
"Because the game is about to begin." He turned and walked out of the room, leaving me sitting there, still clutching the ring. I didn't know what I had gotten myself into, but I knew one thing. There was no turning back. I looked down at the ring. A sense of unease filling me. What had my mother been hiding? And why was I the key? I didn't know. But I was about to find out. Ethan was right. This was just the beginning. And I had no idea what was waiting for me ahead. Gaze never leaving mine. "The point, Emily," he said smoothly, "is that nothing in your life is what it seems." I shook my head, gripping the photograph tighter. "You're playing some kind of sick game with me." Ethan chuckled, a low sound that sent shivers down my spine. "Am I? Or am I just giving you the pieces to a puzzle that's been in front of you all along?" I wanted to throw the photo at him, to scream, to make him stop this twisted charade. But deep down, I knew something was off. Something had always been off. My mother's evasiveness, the hushed phone calls, the way she looked at Ethan when she thought no one was watching. I took a deep breath. "What happened to Daniel?" Ethan's smile faded slightly, his fingers tapping against the edge of the table. "He disappeared," he repeated. "But you already knew that, didn't you?" I frowned. "What are you talking about?" "You were just a baby when it happened," he said, stepping closer. "But some memories don't fade so easily." My head started to ache. Flashes of something buried deep, started to surface. A man's voice, low and urgent. My mother crying. The sound of a door slamming shut. "No," I whispered, shaking my head. "That's not possible." Ethan knelt beside my chair, his hand resting lightly on my knee. "You remember, don't you?" My breathing grew shallow. The room felt too small, the candlelight flickering ominously. "You're lying." He reached into his pocket and pulled out another envelope, placing it in front of me. "Open it." I hesitated. My fingers felt like lead as I reached for it, my pulse hammering in my ears. Inside were several old, yellowed documents. A birth certificate.
"Mine."
A police report. And then a death certificate. Daniel Whitmore. My hands shook as I read the details. Date of death, November 3rd, 2004. Cause: missing, presumed dead. I looked up at Ethan, my throat dry. This is some kind of sick joke. He tilted his head, his eyes gleaming in the candlelight. "Is it?" I stared at the paper, at the name. "Daniel Whitmore," I whispered. And then it hit me. The way my mother always flinched when I asked about my father. The way she avoided the topic completely. Because Daniel wasn't just her old lover. He was my father. I gasped, the realization slamming into me like a tidal wave. "No," I choked out. Ethan's lips curled into a satisfied smile. "Now you're starting to see." Tears blurred my vision. "Where is he? What happened to him?" Ethan exhaled slowly, as if savoring the moment. "That," he said, "is the real question, isn't it?" I stood up so fast that the chair scraped against the floor. "Tell me." He didn't move. "Your mother did everything to erase him, Emily. To pretend he never existed. But some ghosts don't stay buried." My heart was racing, my breath coming in short gasps. "What are you saying?" Ethan took a slow sip of his wine, watching me with that unnerving intensity. "I'm saying," he said, "that you and I have more in common than you think." I froze. "What?" He stood, closing the distance between us. "Your mother kept secrets from you, Emily. But so did mine." I felt my stomach drop.
"No."
No, it wasn't possible. Ethan reached out, his fingers brushing against my cheek, tilting my chin up so I had no choice but to look into his eyes. "We're family, Emily," he whispered. My blood ran cold. I stumbled back, shaking my head.
"No."
"You're lying." Ethan simply smiled. "Am I?" The room spun around me. My stepfather, my mother, my father, all tangled together in a twisted web I hadn't even known existed. My breath hitched as the final puzzle piece clicked into place. Ethan wasn't just some stranger my mother had married. He was my brother. I felt like I was going to be sick. Ethan watched me, waiting, as if relishing my reaction. "Now," he murmured. "Do you still want to play the game?" The air in the room turned suffocating. I took a step back. Then another. My pulse roared in my ears. Ethan took a step forward. "Running won't change the truth, Emily." But I was already moving, my body acting on instinct. I turned and bolted for the door, my bare feet slamming against the wooden floor. Ethan's laughter followed me. "You'll be back," he called after me. "You always come back." I yanked the front door open, the cold night air hitting me like a slap. My vision blurred with tears as I stumbled onto the porch, gasping for breath. I didn't look back. I just ran.